about that, Ella, I mean, why is it now that people with different opinions want to sort of almost physically attack each other? Why this sort of rise of extremism?
Well, I've read the report. I've got a column in Spiked on it coming out this week. And you'd think that the authors of the report have had their head under a rock for the last few months because, and it's very depressing to hear it talked about in such general terms. The report doesn't mention once Rosie Duffield or anything about MPs having daily rape and death threats because of their gender critical views. In fact, it doesn't mention the word gender anywhere in it. The word anti-Semitism or Jew appears not once in the report.
You're kidding.
There's nothing about anti-Semitism in that report. And there is nothing about Islamist threats in that report. In fact, it actually goes into detail, inferences linking social media abuse with the murder of Sir David Amess, which was a mistake that happened at the time, straight after Amos's death, even though we didn't have the report of the name of the person who killed him, Ali Harbour Ali, but everyone knew that it was an Islamist attack. And there was a call for David's Law, which was about ending anonymity online and tackling social media abuse. Just a complete lie. Yeah. You know, there was nothing in Ali Harbour Ali's mindset, his ideology, that had anything to do with social media abuse.
You know, planning.
So, no, so we have to be honest about this. What is the main threat facing MPs at the moment? It's from Islamism. It's from what was Mike Freer suffering from? One, abuse from Islamists about his homosexuality and homophobic abuse. And number two, his support for Israel because he's a Jew. Yeah. So, you know, you can write all the reports you like about public literacy. Give me a break. That's like gaslighting the public, saying it's our fault.
But this has been going on for ages. Ella, I don't know whether I want to cry out of absolute desperation and depression about what's going on in this country or scream and shout and get furious, because I am really at the end of my tether. The school teacher in Batley who went into hiding should have been an inflection point. The autistic boy who smudged a Quran and was harried out of school and they took the side of these so-called community leaders in the Muslim faith should have been an inflection point. The murder of Sir David Amess should have been an inflection point. The primary school that had to shut down recently because it banned pro-Palestinian badges and so on and so forth, then was threatened with bomb threats. These pro-Palestine marches of people shouting jihad. And what I feel is if this was anything else, if this was a far-right skinhead shouting at a politician, you would have Starmer and Khan and Rishi Sunak all queuing up to say, we don't want this here, we're a tolerant society. But we've become tolerant of the worst form of intolerance. And when are we going to wake up to this?
Well, the other thing that's really important is that if we fail to talk about Islamism and Islamist thought and threat as a very specific thing, a dangerous specific thing, we end up that the silence around that means that there will be a rise in prejudice against normal Muslims. And everybody panics about Islamophobia today. The main way in which genuine Islamophobia will rise is if people feel that they're not able to talk about this thing, Islamism. It's not just a sort of a security threat. It's also a cultural discussion.
And all you Guardian readers out there who think, oh, yeah, you're just being Islamophobic and you don't understand these people.
We've got Guardian readers watching this show.
Listen to this. So a few years back, when Mike Freer was making a speech, funnily enough, in a mosque, he was warned, be careful, you could be the next Stephen Timms. So he was warned, if you go to that mosque, you might get macheted to death. And when he was making his speech, a group of Muslim extremists burst in to the mosque and yelled, this is a Jewish homosexual pig defiling the house of Allah. That's what they shouted, a Jewish homosexual pig. They don't like Jews, they don't like homosexuals. This is the culture from which this kind of extremism emanates, and we've got to stop treating that culture. You know, it's almost like illegal not to mention this, but most Muslims
for 10, 20 years and nothing is ever done. This is what is sickening me.
But we've got to stop talking in general terms, which is, I mean, obviously, I'm banging on about the Joe Cox Foundation reports because I've read every word of it, but that's what makes the political class feel comfortable and feel like they've covered their backs if they put out a report that says the real problem in society is that we're all a bit mean to each other. And obviously there's an important point to be made about the coarseness of public debate, which I would put down to censorship and an issue of free speech rather than that people are just innately mean.
Most of these problems are Muslim extremism.
But there's a range of things. I mean, the fact that the sort of zealousness around trans activism and the genuine threats that women are facing to, you know, and actually that at a lot of women's sort of meetings, people have actually been punched in the face and things like that, that is made no mention of, just shows you the kind of cowardice in being able to deal with these very live, important issues.
By the way, Mike Freer, for the record, is gay, but as he points out in the interview today, he's not Jewish, so he's not a homosexual Jewish pig. As he also points out, he's not a pig either.
The important thing is that he's been out and proud for it. He's an extremely brave man, and
he's a public servant.
The stuff he's been through is outrageous.
Brave man.
If we remember, David Amos was, you know, refused to stop his surgeries, even though it was becoming dangerous. And one really important point is that hustings and surgeries have become a thing of the past. Politicians are freaked out.
It's a shame.